My allegiance is just order. So I can pick and choose the units at my leisure from any army from all of order. The only stipulations are I have to choose generic battle line. A lot of battle line is contingent on whether or not you're running a certain general or whether or not you're running a certain allegiance.
Right.
An example being Stormcast Eternals, the Liberators, got dudes with the shield, just the standard 100 point, 5 of them, 2 wounds each. Those guys are battle line no matter what. If you're playing Order, if you're playing Stormcast. Judicators are the bows for 160 points. Bread and butter, like, very reliable 24-inch range. Classic Stormcast. Super reliable, a little elite, good cost. Those guys are only battle line if you're playing a Stormcast army. And then there's like next level stuff where Frost Sabers are only battle line if not only you're playing Beast Claw, but you have some particular general. And it's usually an awful one that you don't want. Sucks, but whatever. So it's the Dungeons and Dragons themed mixed order army. So it's sort of like a party of adventurers in Dungeons and Dragons, like expanded into being an army. So the list is 2 Dragon Lords painted as a gold dragon and as a silver dragon, with Quicksilver Potion on the general as the artifact and the command trait Inspiring. Generic order artifacts and traits are pretty bad on purpose because you're getting the benefit of picking and choosing the best units, so you have to pay a cost somehow, and it's by having a low amount of battle line choices and pretty terrible allegiance ability artifacts and traits. Quicksilver Potion, at the beginning of any combat phase, yours or your opponent's, you can drink it and immediately pile in an attack as like first place in initiative, and then initiative proceeds as normally.
Oh, nice.
So if somebody gets the jump on you and charges into you, you can chug this potion once a game and then just attack them straight up first, which is often really useful. It's possible you could kill them, or if it's a monster, you could at least deal some damage and it charts down and becomes less effective. Or if your guy has 3 life, now you get one final swing in, before they kill you. And if it's your turn, it's double dragon combo. Because you drink the potion, you pile in an attack, and then initiative proceeds as normal, which means you're the first one to activate. And so you activate again. So you basically get 2 in a row, which is strong. The command trait is Inspiring, which is a trait, so you don't activate it like an ability. It's just always in effect around him. And it's a 6-inch radius immunity to battle shock. Like you don't have to take the battle shock test. And at first this seems bad on a Dragon Lord, because she's gonna be flying 14 inches and charging something like really far away from your 30 Arcanauts and your Longbeards and stuff. Your guys that you don't want to get battle shocked off. So why am I Inspiring? If she's just going to be off on her own, way too far away from my other units. Well, great question. 1, the other traits are bad. And 2, this is protection against Alpha Strike lists that will turn 1 start fucking your shit up. Like, they'll be able to reach you and charge in and start killing your guys. Several armies can do this. And Arcanaut Company are probably target number 1 in my army that need to die. And so if they roll into Arcanaut Company and kill like 5 of them, or 10 of them, and I haven't been able to go yet, I can't give them Inspiring Presence. And so another like 5 or 6 will get battle shocked off, and it sucks. So I position the Dragon Lord within 6 of at least one of them. So if somebody charges me and wipes out a whole bunch of Arcanaut Company before I get to have a turn, at least they won't be running away. Which ended up mattering in Game 1, and so it proved me right in taking it.
Nice.
Then I have an Aether Chemist as part of the Big Shoot combo, which is 30 Arcanaut Company, which are battle line for Caradhran Overlords, and an Aether Chemist sitting in the center of them as a huge backpack buff man. For every 10 Arcanaut Company you have, you can select 3 of them to have special weapons. One of this special weapons are good, and the other 2 suck. The one that's good is called Light Skyhook. 24-inch range, 1 shot each, hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, rend 2, damage D3. Like, that's an excellent ranged weapon for a battle line that's 120 odd points. If they target a hero or a monster, they get +1 to hit. So now it's 3s and 3s. I have 30 of them, so I have 9. 9 shots against a monster or a hero at 3s and 3s, rend 2, damage D3, like, it's fucking dead.
Right.
Aether Chemist lets you shoot an additional time for 1 type of weapon the squad has. Guess what I'm choosing? It's Light Skyhook. So I shoot 18 times at 24 inches at rend 2, damage D3. And I hit with half of them, by the end. This is really strong, and people underestimated it all day. Because what they're used to playing against in Caradhran Overlords is the Rocketeer with chainsaws for hands. Those guys, the Balloon Boys, as they're known. They're used to playing against KO in a giant ship, and the ship drives up the center of the board. All the Balloon Boys fall out. There's like 18 of them, and then all of them Rocketeer over to your army and buzzsaw everybody up. And the Arcanaut Company are just like attacks that the KO have to choose. But, while that's true, and what the KO lists are doing is definitely better than what I'm doing, in a mixed order that's just trying to check boxes on good stuff to do, our Arcanaut Company are super sick. Big fan. Then I have 2 assassins. One is Tenebral Shard. I think I was talking to you about this, about the assassin bomb combo, or the assassin grenade.
Yes. Yes.
Where he's immune to rend. He's got like 6 attacks with one hand, and then 2 attacks with another hand. They're not very good. One's got rend, one doesn't have rend. He hits on 4s. Like, he's not very good at fighting. But on my hero phase, I roll a d6, and on a 4-up, he can teleport anywhere on the board in, like, base-to-base contact, like melee combat with any model that's an enemy. If he teleports, for the rest of that turn, he gets +1 to hit.
Oh, really? Damn.
So, this still, like, is just okay. I mean, a 4-up is hard. That's a 50-50, it's a coin flip. You can fail that 3 times in a row and have him do nothing, right? The whole game. That sucks. It's very failable. Also, if he shows up, he's hitting on 3s, he's hitting on 2s with his offhand and stuff. He doesn't have rend. So if he's just attacking a hero with like a 3-up save, they can just raw dog pass all those saves and he doesn't do anything. And then the whole army like looks at him and just kills him. An assassin for 80 points can be set up inside any unit. You just have to secretly write down what it is. So it's going to be him. And so Tenebral Shard appears next to some hero. Assassin pops out of his pants, and they both get to attack before anybody else does. If it's my turn. And both of them together have something like a 50-50 shot of killing a 3-up save 5-wound hero. And I'll take it. I'll take those odds. It's okay if they don't do anything. I got other shit going on. But if I have a chance of just like cool teleporting, teleporting behind a blood crater, nothing personal, kid, and just taking them out. And now your whole army is no longer immune to battle shock and doesn't get an extra attack. Like, this is great. Being able to snipe people. Plus, sometimes if they randomly live through your opponent, like attacking them on your own turn, it like locks some of their units in combat that they actually wanted to move with on turn 1, and now they can't.
Right, it's a great distraction.
Yeah, it's a total distraction. Plus, if Tenebril Shard kills any models in combat, he can immediately peace out 8 inches away. And then, like, they can't attack him. Which is pretty cool. The Assassin's just dead. Like, the Assassin doesn't have any extra powers, besides doing pretty decent damage if they fail saves that have no rend. Ugh. So, he's swingy. Then I have 10 Longbeards, which are the objective campers in my own deployment zone. I put them on an objective that I just want to hold on to. They're 120 points. They have a 4-up save, re-rolling failures. They all have giant axes that 4s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. For battle line, that's great. And they have 1 wound each. And resistance to battle shock in like 3 different ways. So they're good. I have those skinks, which are the cheapest, finest battle line. It's 60 points for 10 of them. They have bravery 10. They're immune to rend 1, and they have 8-inch move. And like an 18-inch awful ranged shot that on average could do 1 damage, maybe. Because they hit on 5s, wound on 5s, there's 10 of them. I think across the entire tournament I did 2 damage with them. And that was a surprise. They're not there for that. And then I have 4 Tempestors, which I've done up to look like the Golden Compass attack bears instead of the Dracothians. The Tempestors are the ones with the crossbows that have covering fire. So their shots don't do any damage, really. They miss all the time, they don't have rend. But what they do is, if you shoot a unit with all of them, you don't even have to hit. Just if you target all of their shots at a particular unit, that unit suffers -1 to hit in both melee and ranged until your next turn. And I have 2 units of 2 of them. So if they both target the same unit, it's -2, or I can spread them out.
Oh, really? It's cumulative?
Yeah.
Pretty sick.
And so that's awesome. Plus, they have move 10. They have a 3-up save, re-rolling 1s, because they have those shields. It's true their shots don't do any damage, and their swords don't do any damage. But the Dracothians, the Drakes have breath weapons. A D3 breaths per model, so 2D3 per unit of 2. And on a 3-up, it does a mortal wound. If you're in base to base, if you're within like an inch or something like that, on a 3-up it does 2 mortal wounds. So once you like get stuck into combat with something, on your next turn, you're doing like 4 to 6 mortal wounds per 2 of them to the unit you're fighting, and then like another whatever 2 damage or something from the stupid crossbows and swords. Also, if you're a god at rolling 6s to wound, the mounts do a d6 damage instead of 1. So their damage is extremely spiky. On average, their breaths are going to do like 6 mortal wounds maybe. And between 2 and 6 mortal wounds probably. And then everything else they do is probably going to do 2 damage. And then sometimes it's going to do like 7. Like they're really swingy, but sometimes they're good. Their job is to waste time. They stand in front of the Arcanauts, they debuff someone, and then just like get into combat with them and keep passing saves, and then slowly devour them with mortal wounds while they don't die. And then the Arcanauts get to shoot whoever, free of charge. That's a pun because people won't be able to charge them. So yeah, that's the entire army list. That's what I played. Oh yeah, that's right. Allegiance Order. Their allegiance ability for Order is you can choose to re-roll a battle shock test. Any one. But you have to take the second result, which just adds on to the many different ways I have to curb battle shock. Like The Longbeards can grumble about it so that anybody who runs away, you roll a die, and on a 5-up they don't run away. If I fail a Battle Shock too badly, I can re-roll, try to get lower. I have Inspiring, so early game I don't have to take Battle Shock tests if I'm close enough to the Gold Dragon, which I am, because that's how you set up usually. So I have all these ways of, like, not being immune to, but just kind of keeping it together in the Battle Shock phase. The Gold Dragon has a command ability. All Order Draconis units within 10 inches of her get to reroll failed hits. And this is really strong because a lot of the dragon's attacks are on a 4-up, and so they're unreliable, but they do tons of damage. And so now we're re-rolling those. And they become reliable from not being reliable, and it's great. You're reliably attacking with your 2 damage claws, you're reliably hitting with your d6 damage, Ren 2 bite. Your damage 3, Ren 1 lance on the charge. Plus they all have the shields, so they're re-rolling failed saving throws with their shield, always. So you have a 4-up save, re-rolling fails, which is great. It's another theme of the army is that everything should be resilient and everything should be reliable. And so the dragons are re-rolling failed hits. They're re-rolling failed saves. The Longbeards are re-rolling failed saves and curbing Battle Shock in 2 different ways. The Arcanauts are shooting twice as much as normal, so they're hitting more often than not. The Bears are got a 3-up, re-rolling 1 saves. Like, everybody's trying to be as reliable as possible just so the dice can't screw you. Because it's like one of the points of a war game is like, okay, if everything you do requires dice rolling, well, then you're going to want to find ways to make sure that stuff happens.
Right. Bad rolls happen.
Bad rolls happen.
That's the end of the plot.
You just want to reduce their frequency. That's the whole point. That's why Tzeentch is the best army in the game, is because you have this pool of guaranteed successes and failures. And so you get to more than just re-rolls or +1, -1 here or there. You have this like guaranteed pool of stuff that you can do. And so you can do these crazy tactics that are normally super risky and just aren't. And that's one of the main reasons why they're the best.